Hello, my name is Les Wicker, and I am very excited today because I'm beginning a new series of programs that address, the most important subjects I can think of to talk about. And the things I want to discuss in this series of programs is what I would want to talk to you about if you and I were sitting in your living room or across the kitchen table. And I wish I could have this same conversation with every person here and around Asheville. Not only that, but across the land, across the United States, and across the world. Well, that probably won't happen, but at least I can talk to you right now. And I've entitled these thoughts that I would like to share with you, 3 things, you can see it up here on the board, 3 things you must understand. And you can readily discern from such a title as that we're not going to be talking about last night's ball game or the latest scandal that is in the news or a personal fish story or something like that, but rather the nature of these 3 things that we will be discussing and considering go broader and deeper than current events and personal stories, and are on a different level than our day-to-day communication typically goes. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that nobody wants to talk about. And I'll go ahead and tell you that these ideas I'm about to present to you will likely challenge concepts that you may have been taught and may have believed all of your life. Because each one of these 3 things you must understand are in direct conflict and opposition to widely held and very commonly accepted beliefs, both in this community here around Asheville and across this land. So what I would like to do, if I may, is take an honest look at 3 misleading and I believe deceptive and outright wrong ideas that are very popular in our world today, and then show you clearly and explain logically, step by step, by the evidence, why they are misleading, why they are deceptive, and why they are wrong. And then show you the unmistakable truth that lies behind each one of the myths. And I would like very much to get your personal response to the things that I'm going to be saying. I want to get your reaction to each one of these points as I make them. So if you have a question or a comment of any kind related to the things I've discussed, I hope to, in a number of weeks or a month or so, I hope to begin airing some of the comments and questions and make them part of the program. And you'll see our number here, an email address down below on your screen. And I'll say you can just give your name if you call in. Now you'll get more than likely you will get a recording where you can just leave your message and you can just leave your name and your number. And we'll say, Jim from Asheville had this comment about this, and we'll carry on like this. So I want to make this as conversational as possible. And incidentally, you don't have to fear that when you call, you're not going to be asked for donations. We're not selling anything. There's not going to be any pressure of any kind. You can leave your message and your comment or your question. You might say that guy on TV needs to, little men in the little white suits to come and pick him up. I don't know. Whatever your comment is, we'll be glad to hear it. And so please feel free to do that. But you won't be asked for any donations. Now, let me say also, before we get started, that at times this may be surprisingly hard-hitting and unapologetic. And I'm going to be speaking in a way that you may not be accustomed to hearing. And it's not that I'm purposefully trying to offend anyone, or it's just that truth is truth. And I'm not for pretending that falsehood and error has validity after all if it's false. And if you love someone, this is my disposition. If you love someone, you tell them the truth. You would tell your children, if you have any, not to play in the busy highway because you love them, not because you're trying to deprive them of some pleasure. And you wouldn't say, well, when a bus runs over them, then they'll learn not to play in the road. There's some things you just don't want to have to learn from experience. And your parents likely warned you of dangers like mine did me, and tried to tell you right from wrong, true from false, because they loved you. And that is my disposition and purpose in this effort, and so I offer it to you with all meekness and humility. There will be a lot of meat to chew on here, and I want to encourage you to make notes and especially jot down any questions that arise in your mind, because it's your comments and your questions that I hope will be an eventual part of the program or a conversation in person together. Well, as we begin, let me assure you that I claim no special revelation or knowledge or intellect that you don't have the same access to. I have the same things that you have. A little ability to reason, a little ability to observe and draw conclusions that are based on evidence and confirmed by facts. And just one more thing before we launch into the deep here. It's said rather commonly that we Americans have a shortened attention span because, the advertisers must get their message across quickly. If the image on the television screen doesn't change every 2 seconds or so, they say we lose interest. And so it's said that we Americans have lost our capacity for patient listening or studying or learning anything of value. I hope that's not true, but I hear it often enough to know that at least there's the possibility that it's true. Well, if it is true in the general population, I hope it's not true in your case. Because the things I'm going to be talking about here are vitally important. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to develop. And also it requires your careful listening and understanding these comments and their implications. So be aware of yourself in this regard. This is not intended to be easy listening music or entertainment in the same vein that other programs are. It may be entertaining. I hope to be somewhat spontaneous, and we'll have perhaps some fun with the program. But I hope that won't detract from the fact that the things that we're talking about are serious in nature, and there will be very challenging thoughts. They require your mental activity and attentive participation, just like playing a ball. If I throw the ball to you, you have to catch it. If you throw a ball to me, I have to catch it. There's a participation and a communication in the same way with our minds. And please try to listen to all the programs that you can. All right, now let's get into it. I'm going to start really, really big at the beginning, and each point will lay the foundation for the next point. So eventually it narrows, it starts really big, and then it focuses and from broad universal ideas down to groups of people, and then down to the individual person. That's kind of the layout of the whole series, and I don't know exactly how many it's going to take, but we'll be done when we're done, I guess. The first, though, of these three things you must understand begins with an undisputed fact. The fact that the universe exists, and we, as fully conscious beings, are fully aware and cognizant of that fact. We exist, along with all the other things that our senses can tell us are here.